Welcome to the demonstration of Emergency Plus, the module for emergency lighting design following EN 1838 for Leicester 4D. Once we open LightCalc, we have to define, first of all, the area where we want to define our lighting design for the emergency lighting. So in this case, it may be very useful if we drag and drop a DXF file, 2D DXF file into Leicester. At this stage, we have to define the conversion into the DXF units and the meters, because Leicester LightCalc works only in meters and needs to know what is the conversion into the units coming with the drawing, with the DXF drawing, into meters. So in this case, we can say that this area is really on X, 26 meters, almost 27 meters long, and on Y, 21 meters, almost 22 meters width. So the first point is fixed. We leave meters and we leave 1 as a conversion factor. We may use the drop point, but in this case, the drawing will be exactly where we left the mouse once we imported the DXF file. Usually, we don't use that because it is much common and much useful if we define a position of the axis in function of what is the position of the axis coming with the drawing, like in this case. So we select none. Otherwise, we have to select down to the left, and it will be placed over here, or at the center, and it will be placed over here. It is also possible in case to define a customized position, but this is a little bit more complex to define, but it is possible. Usually, I select the one coming from the drawing, unless otherwise needed. Then we have here the coordinates, which won't be used as we didn't select the drop point position we left at the beginning. And at this stage, once we have finished the definition of all the parameters, we can confirm. We have to define now if we want to import and visualize all the different layers of the DXF file. In this case, we have only 2, but in most of the cases, we have many layers, which are the drawing, which are the labeling about the drawing and about the different areas. So you may select simply clicking on or off. Once we've finished, we can confirm and the drawing will be imported. At this stage, we have a 2D file and we have to define an interior where we are going to install, where we're going to design our lighting emergency system. So we select this feature, Advanced Project for the interiors, and we define the perimeter of our room, of our rooms. If we want to snap exactly at the points of the DXF file, we have to press X at the keyboard, and keeping it pressed, as you can see, we confirm with the left button of the mouse, and step by step we define the perimeter. And once we have finished, the last one can be confirmed using Enter at the keyboard. This window will appear where we can define the total height of the room, the working plane height, but also the colors and the reflectances of the floor, the walls, and the ceiling. If we want to change the color, it is necessary to double-click on here, and you can select a different color. automatically the program will propose a reflectance value coming from the calculation after selecting the color. But in any case, we can change it and place the value that is the desired one. The walls, for example, we can, for example, select a light blue, like in this case. And the ceiling, we leave it white. We put it down to 60 and confirm. Now we have the room. And this is a room, but in principle, it is based on two different rooms, and we want to add over here a wall. And to do that, we have to select the extruded object. Once we select it, we can define over here, we can define, we have to press again the X, and we define a wall. And we close. We leave it at the same height. So now we have the wall. Now we start defining our emergency lighting system. So the first step is to select from here mode, the emergency lighting option. So it will be available also here at the right. From here, you can access the emergency tab where we have these icons. The first one is the one carrying the values, for example, about the standard. The default values are the ones coming from the EN 1838, which is the European standard for emergency lighting. But it is also possible if you want to change the values in function of your needs. So, for example, if you have a different standard and you want to apply those values, if different, you can change them over here. You have different parameters corresponding to the escape routes, to the high task area, high risk task area, to the working plane height, the safety point, the anti-panic area, minimum lighting, the maximum uniformity, the maintenance coefficient. We can leave it to 1, for example, and to the exit minimum lighting. It is also possible to define if you want to have a perimeter belt. So it means that the program will calculate, for example, like in this case, won't calculate in between the walls and the line placed inside half meter inside the room. And then, if you want to calculate, considering only the direct component, it means the direct light coming from the luminaires, or also considering the indirect component, which means the reflection of the surfaces. Usually, the calculation of emergency lighting should be taken in only in considering only the direct component. So, once we're finished, we confirm. Now, we start defining this different accessories for the lighting, emergency lighting design. So for example, the escape routes. We select escape routes. We define, for example, if you want, we can also come to a double view. So at the bottom, we define the top view. And at the top, we have the perspective view. So if we start from here, we just click and we will start the definition of the evacuation route. If we press O at the keyboard, then we can move along the axis. And let's say that this is our escape route. Once we're finished, we have to press Enter, and that's it. The escape route is now defined. Second step, the safety points. We can add them over here and let's say over here. Then the internal exit. We select and we say that this is an exit, an internal exit, and this is another internal exit. And over here, we select if, for example, we have an external exit. Next step, the high-risk area. So we may define an area where we have a special task, for example, over here in the middle. So we press O at the keyboard, so we move along the axis, in this case the y-axis. Now the X, we go up, and it could be possible also to define an irregular area. In this case, once I've finished, I simply press Enter, and the high-risk area will be defined. Last step, and this is the option only available in case of having the program activated also with the Emergency Plus module, because all the other features are always available. So it means that the difference with emergency lighting is that it is now possible to select the luminaires, and then the program, once finished to define the luminaires, per any area, the program will define automatically the number of luminaires in order to achieve the requirements of the standard. So if we select this one, this window will appear. And we have to define, for example, the evacuation route, the escape route. So we may select it from a folder where we have the LDT, the IS, or the OXL files. We can simply open the folder and drag and drop the file into here. The next option is the most used luminaire catalog. So for example, if you added the luminaires over here, you can open this catalog and then drag and drop the luminaire over here. But there is also another option, which is change luminary using ListWin. If you press on here, this window of ListWin will appear. And through here, we can select the luminaries in case we added them to the database, to the local database. Lightstar has a database, which is an open database where you can store the luminaries of interest. So in case data are supplied directly by the manufacturers, you can simply access their web catalogs, and which is the cloud where the manufacturers are leaving the information about the products, all data, etc. But it is also possible to create different folders and add ulm.is or Excel files directly over here. And so everyone can create a catalog of their own. So let's say that in case we want to select a luminaire coming from a manufacturer with an available web catalog. Now, once the web catalog is appearing, we can select the luminary of interest. So for example, we may select this one. Once we select the model, it's clear that the web catalog can also be into English, for example. Once we select the family, all the available luminaires of the family will be displayed over here. We select the luminary, and once we have finished, we can reduce the window, and from here, so from the web catalog, we can drag and drop the image straight away into the database. So the program now is downloading all the information and packing the information over here. Why do we do it this way? It is very simple, because we found that the designers, they usually want to have the products at their databases, and in case they want to check if data are available, new data, for example, new updates are available, through the features of the program, they can do it automatically. So now we have selected the luminaire, and we can see here that the luminaire is an emergency lighting luminaire with a luminaire flux in emergency of 400 lux, 400 lumens, sorry. So we select the luminaire, we just downloaded, and now we pass to the safety points. Again, we access the LISWIN. We have here this luminaire, which is quite powerful under emergency mode. So we select this one with a lower flux of 200. So we select the luminaire, but in this case, the luminaire is supplied into different modes. So this is an emergency luminaire, but it may also be sourced by the electric power through the net. In this case, we have 1 hour emergency lighting, 3 hours emergency lighting, and this is the one from the net, electrical net. We select, for example, in this case, this one, and automatically the luminaire will be added. Again, general lighting. We need an emergency lighting luminaire, but with a higher value of flux, so this one may be the proper one. So this one is E1H5. Once we select, again, this window will appear. So we select this one, which is corresponding to the flux of 1100 lumens. Again, inner exit. We don't need the very powerful luminaire, so we select again this one. And we select 1 hour autonomy. High risk. We need a powerful luminaire, so we may add, for example, this one, or in case this one, probably this one is much better. So we select again 1 hour, and that's it. One more left, it is this one, and again we select the same luminaire with 1 hour autonomy. Okay, once we have finished to define the luminaires per any area type, we press OK. And the program simply added the luminaires over here, and now we can verify if the luminaires added are corresponding to are satisfying the standard values, minimum values. So we, from this window, from the calculation setting window, we select Start, and the program checks if we could achieve the value. In this case, couldn't be achieved. So the program started again the calculation up to when we added all the luminaires, up to the point where the program can come. So the program can come almost to the end, almost to the complete definition of all the areas, but it is not sure 100% that we are going to achieve exactly the values. In this case, the program said that it was not possible for the program to calculate exactly the number of luminaires. So we have to check it from here. So from here, we have the calculations. We may access the calculation at the working plane, and we can check it. Or if we open it, we can select the floor. So if we open the floor, this window will appear. We can, from here, come to the visualization of the results in a better way. So this one is the complete table of the values, the illuminance values at the floor. So now we had here a previous configuration that we want to remove, and we define now a brand new configuration. So for example, from here, we create a regular area, just keeping the mouse left button pressed, and we define the high risk area. So this one is high high risk area, and then I confirm. Over here, we can see that the minimum value achieved over here, it is 10.81, so almost 11 laxes. We go back to the emergency and we check if the high risk, it is 10, the minimum value, so in this case, it is completely achieved. Then we go back to the ambient flora illuminance values, and for example, we want to define if the escape route is properly lighted in emergency mode. So we select zoom, create regular, irregular zoom. So we start from here. We press O for the orthogonal movement of and definition of the area. We go back, we come down here, we come here, and we close. So the escape route. Okay. Let's say that we remove this one. So now we have the escape route. And along the escape route, we have to have at least a minimum of 3 laxes. Let's see if the minimum value is 3 laxes. In this case, we have 10 laxes. So this is more than enough. So also the escape route is okay. Next, we can, for example, go back and check if the illuminance value all over are achieving the limits of, corresponding to the limits of the standard. So in this case, we have 6.36, the minimum value. And the minimum value then we may go back and again, from here, we may create a zoom around the safety points. So safety point 1, and we confirm the safety point shouldn't be less than 3 laxes, and in this case it is completely achieved. Again, we go back and we select the other safety point. Safety point 2. Okay, 20 is much more than what is needed. And then the other areas, like the emergency exits. Minimum lighting is 3 laxes in this case. So we go back to the horizontal illuminance, and we define again an area around here. Exit 1. Okay, in this case, we have -1 because it was not taking the area in the proper way. So we delete this one. Exit. We delete and we define it once again. we have to be more careful in defining the area. So again, exit 1. Okay, and we have 14, so it's more than enough. And again, the last point is the one corresponding to this point. Again, zoom, create regular zoom. So over here we define the area, exit 2, and that's it, because we perfectly correspond to the values. So now we have finished with the definition of our lighting design. We can come back to the 3D view. And in case if we want to give a better view, we can switch it from the flat view to the textured result, where we have also a sort of little rendering, let's say. And for example, we may switch from the visualization, the rendered visualization, to the false color visualization. In this case, it is clear that the highest values are over here. So we may change the values, selecting calculation and results, and coming to this point, where we define a linear scale or a logarithmic scale. In this case, it is a much better view, where we have all the different values graphically displayed, and it is possible from here to capture the image and to create a 3D image that would be then possible to print at the printouts. So right now, let's say that we have finished with the definition of the lighting design system. We can come to the, for example, to the project printout. We select the project file printout, and the full list of available pages previously defined, selecting set as default. So once you have a project, you define the list of printouts and you press set as default. The next time you come to the same point, you will have all the different options already selected. It is also possible from here, if you want to, we can switch it from one type of list to the other. We select or they select one or more options. And once we've finished with the definition, we can come to the print preview. And from here, we can visualize the cover page, the first page, the index. Okay, let's say that in this case it is into Italian, but we can switch the printouts into 25 languages. And from here, again, back to the print preview. Now it is into English. Let's say that we want to add some more information over here. It is then possible to go back and, for example, define a printer or customize the printouts. Over here, we can select and input the information of interest. We may add the company name, for example, the address and the company information, the remarks, XXXX, and a second step of remarks. And over here, it is also possible to select the logo if you want to change the one available per default. Once you install the program, you can also switch it from this one to the other. You can define the margins, and once you finish, you confirm. And we go back now to the preview, and we have here, a very synthetic information, because we didn't input all the information, but in case of inputting all the information, they will be displayed over here. Next page is the index, the summary of the different pages. And then we have project data and results over here, the definition of the area and the room, the definition of the luminaires used for the lighting, the emergency lighting design, with all the different luminaires. Over here we have a 2D view, plan view of the area with the different emergency areas. Now we have the full list of luminaires. We have the horizontal illuminance values on the floor, the section at the high risk area, the section along the evacuation route or the escape route, the section about the first safety point, the second safety point, the exit 1, the exit 2, the 3D view, and that's it. So this one can be printed to the printer and can be printed to a PDF file and then delivered to your customers. But it is also possible to have another option. So, for example, if we close this one, we may export, we may export the project and the results, the selected results with the luminaires, with the accessories, like say the emergency accessories, we can export them to a DXF file. So we select the file, export to DXF. At this stage, we define the name of the file as the emergency 1. And once we have finished, we can open the file, we can open the folder, select the file, and for example, we can drag and drop the file onto, for example, DWG through view. It will take a few seconds, and then the program will display the room with all the different accessories and the results. As you can see here, if we select the orbit, we can now orbit the 3D, and as you can see over here, it is possible to have all the different values that were exported over here, and that now are available through different layers. You can leave active, or you can, for example, you can remove. So if, for example, we don't want to visualize the escape route, we just have to click on here and this line will disappear. The high risk area, again, the same. So you have all the options now and all the different results, accessories, etc. available at the DXF file. And it is possible, for example, to extract one or more layers and to put them onto another main drawing and complete your design. It is also possible over here to visualize the legend where you have the full list of luminaires and the quantities and the CCT, the power, and the total flux per luminaire. So as you can see, it is quite an easy way to design an emergency lighting in a room. Thank you.